Former President Donald Trump gave an exclusive interview to NBC News' Meet the Press this weekend, and then NBC News dutifully put out an article fact-checking the president 11 different times he didn't tell the truth. So let's just ignore that. That's boring, fact-checking Donald Trump. Come on. You know what I want to do? I want to fact-check the host of Meet the Press. This is Kristen Welker, her debut as the host of the show, and didn't go well for her. Watch.
I'm facing 4 Biden indictments. He told the Justice Department to indict him, or Merrick Garland said, let's indict him. But here's what they did. They saw this happening, and he went to the Attorney General of the United States, and he told them, indict Trump.
There's just no evidence of that, Mr.
Why?
President.
Because you mean
but let's stay on track.
Look at all the lies he's told.
Mr. President, I want to talk
Kristen,
about
wait a minute. Wait. Could I say one thing? Look at all the lies he's told over the last couple of weeks.
There's no evidence of that. Actually, there's a lot of evidence. First, there's the president's own statements where, when asked whether Trump could be president again, he said he was going to demonstrate that he will not take power if he does run, making sure he, under legitimate efforts of our Constitution, does not become the next president again. Then there's this New York Times article that cites people in the White House saying that President Biden was frustrated with Merrick Garland that he hadn't brought charges against Donald Trump yet. A couple months later, charges were brought against Donald Trump. That's evidence, Kristen Welker.
Nancy
talk
Pelosi
about that.
was in charge of security. She turned down 10,000 soldiers. If she didn't turn down the soldiers, you wouldn't have had January 6th.
Did you call military or law enforcement?
What?
Did you call military or law enforcement at the moment the Capitol was under attack?
I'm not going to tell you anything. Let me put it this way. I behaved so well. I did such a good job. Nancy Pelosi turned down 10,000 soldiers. If she didn't do that,
but
and now
Nancy
I understand.
Pelosi doesn't have the authority that
the
you
police
have as
testified
commander-in-chief, though.
Listen to me, Kristen. Listen to me. I understand that the police testified against her. The chief very strongly against her. Capitol Police, great people. They testified against her, and they burned all the evidence. Okay, they burned all the evidence. They destroyed all the evidence about Nancy Pelosi.
What do you say to people who wonder why you as commander-in-chief, you have authorities that Nancy Pelosi doesn't have as commander-in-chief?
No, she has authority over the
Why
Capitol.
didn't you send help in that moment, though?
Frankly, just so you understand, I assumed that she took care of it. She turned down.
So when you realized that the National Guard wasn't coming?
Well, you don't realize anything until quite a while. National Guard not coming. I asked it to be there 3 days in advance, and she turned it down.
She says that request was never officially made.
Oh,
just so you know.
Apparently, Kristen Welker doesn't know that the President of the United States can't call in the military for domestic purposes. She might also not understand that Speaker of the House Nancy Pelosi is solely responsible for security on Capitol Hill in the Congress. There's a separation of powers here. She had to ask for the National Guard. In fact, the Capitol Police Chief, Stephen Sund, asked 6 times before the events of January 6th and during the events of January 6th that the National Guard be brought in, and he was denied. Plus, several days before January 6th, President Trump pre-approved any request that Nancy Pelosi or D.C. Mayor Muriel Bowser might make for the National Guard. If they asked for it, they would have had it. They never did. And then there was this exchange about abortion when President Trump was pressed on whether he would sign a bill criminalizing abortion coast to coast.
Nobody wants to see abortions when you have a baby in the womb. I said with Hillary Clinton when we had the debate, I made a statement, rip the baby out of the womb in the 9th month. You're allowed to do that, and you shouldn't be allowed to do that.
Again, no one is arguing for that. That's not a part of anyone's platform, Mr. President.
The Democrats are able to kill the baby after birth.
Let me talk to you.
Nobody wants that.
Democrats don't want that
so
either.
We're going to come together.
I want to know what you want. I want to know what you're going to do if you're reelected.
We are going to come together.
Would you sign federal legislation that would ban abortion at 15 weeks?
No. Let me just tell you what I do. I'm going to come together with all groups, and we're going to have something that's acceptable. Right now, to my way of thinking, the Democrats are the radicals, because after 4 and 5 and 6 months, but you have to say this, after birth. You have New York State and other places that pass legislation where you're allowed to kill the baby after birth.
In fact, Democrats have voted to make abortion legal right up until birth. That's the law of the land in the state of New York, state of California, state of Maryland, and a handful of other Democrat-dominated states. And as Town Hall's Guy Benson points out, last year only 2 Democrats voted against a bill that would have allowed abortion, yes, right up until birth. And a few years ago, there was a bill that would have criminalized abortion after 20 weeks. 97% of Democrats voted against that. I mean, there's more, but just that in and of itself is enough to call into question Kristen Welker's ability to fact-check President Trump. Kristen Welker, doesn't she seem familiar? I know I've seen her somewhere before. Oh, that's right. She was the moderator of the final presidential debate in 2020 when Joe Biden gave you these two zingers.
My son has not made money in terms of this thing about, what are you talking about? China. I have not had, the only guy made money from China is this guy. He's the only one. Nobody else has made money from China.
President Trump, let me ask my question to you.
But could I just, one thing?
Very quickly.
His son didn't have a job for a long time, was sadly no longer in the military service. I won't get into that. And he didn't have a job. As soon as he became vice president, Burisma, not the best reputation in the world, I hear they paid him $183,000 a month. Listen to this. $183, and they gave him a $3 million upfront payment.
All right.
And he had no energy.
I'm going to let the vice president respond to that quickly, and then I need to get
dishonest.
to a question to you. Very quickly.
No basis for that. Everybody investigated that. No one said anything he did was wrong in Ukraine. 50 former national intelligence folks who said that what he's accusing me of is a Russian plant. They have said that this has all the five former heads of the CIA, both parties, say what he's saying is a bunch of garbage.
You mean the laptop is now another Russia hoax?
That's exactly what.
Is this where you go?
Those were obviously huge lies. And here's that moment when Kristen Welker jumped into this debate just 2 weeks before Election Day and called Joe Biden out on his lies. I'm sorry, we don't have that video footage. It doesn't exist. She never did that. One other little nugget. Right after the interview, Valerie Jarrett put together a panel on Meet the Press to analyze the president's performance. One of the people, Laura Jarrett. That name sound familiar? Yeah. She's the daughter of longtime Barack Obama advisor Valerie Jarrett. Boy, it's good to be a Democrat.